Welcome to the Notes for Notes Cleveland, Ohio blog. I'm Ryan, and today I want to share a magical moment with you. For the last few months, I'd have to say since the beginning of the year, maybe a little earlier, I've been working here with a young man named Keith. Keith originally was coming to the studio once, maybe twice a week, and even in those trips, he'd stay no longer than 15 to 20 minutes. And I was curious why, because the first thing I noticed when he came to the studio is that he's an excellent keyboardist. So after listening to Keith and after meeting his parents and his counselor at school, as well as his probation officer, they allowed me to have a better understanding of why Keith was the way he was. He was getting into trouble at home, getting into trouble in the streets, getting into trouble at school, pretty much just getting into trouble everywhere. And I imagine it was difficult for him because he was in the early stages, he was a person that just didn't speak much, and his confidence wasn't high. I noticed he would walk around oftentimes with his head down. Well, nonetheless, Keith and I had a conversation about his behavior and about his attendance and about his future. And amazingly, after that conversation, he started attending the studio 5 days a week, 5 hours a day, 12 to 5. It got so consistent that when I told Keith that lunch was being served in the Boys and Girls Club, he didn't even move. He would continuously sit at a computer or a drum machine or a keyboard or writing a verse for a song and not budge. In fact, there was a lockout here in the building about a month ago that a church had, and I invited Keith to come to the lockout, which is an overnight thing, obviously, which is a 7 to 7, 7 p.m. to 7 a.m. And Keith came for the lockout to help me with the church youth who would be coming into the studio. And during that time, literally from 7 p.m. to 7 a.m., he didn't get up. They were serving food again in the building, and Keith didn't move from his seat. He was glued to his seat, so much so to the point where I had to force Keith to take a 5-minute break just to, take a breather and go outside and grab a bite and walk around and let his blood flow and things of that sort. Well, nonetheless, over time, his probation officer called me, and she stated that they're noticing a significant change in Keith's attitude, behavior, and other things that they measure when they meet with him. And they wanted to credit it all to Keith coming in the music studio. I'd like to say here and now that I want to give Keith credit for taking the first step and being proactive to changing his life and attempting to better himself and have a future and do things that are positive. Well, as a culmination of all of these things, Friday, June 30th, I went to court with Keith. His probation officer asked me to attend. And during that trip, the judge threw out 4 assault charges that Keith had pending, as well as the probation hours that were set for him to serve, which was 100 total. They threw out 4 assault charges and 100 probation hours. I'm not sure Keith, even to this day, recognizes how huge that is, but that is a big deal. I was very proud of him. And one thing that I noticed is the judge mentioned the reason they were interested in this is because his attendance at the music studio, his working with others while being in the studio, and just his personality overall made a complete 180 change. And I can see it as well. He now walks around with his head up. He doesn't look at the ground too often. He states things with confidence that he believes in, or when he speaks of himself, and his demeanor is just a complete change from what it used to be when we originally had conversation about Keith coming to the studio and just being a better person. So I just wanted to come on here and share this victory moment / magic moment with you all. I may even be happier than Keith is. I don't know, but I was pretty darn happy when I walked out of the courthouse that day with that information. So, good day to you all. I am Ryan signing out from Cleveland.